Okay, to start the truss rod, take your plans and draw out your center line on the neck, and we're going to drill a series of holes at the depths that you'll see on the plans at various points, and you'll see that we've got a stop on our drill bit just to start drilling these holes out. And just follow the plans and drill your holes out along that length of the center line. And you can see up here I've gone all the way up to the top. And this is where our truss rod's going to stop. So we don't want it to spin. I'm going to put a little bend in it here, and we're going to drill a little hole at a right angle to the center line. And it needs to be just about 1/4 of an inch deep or so, just enough so that we can get the end of the truss rod in there, and then we'll bend it to go straight down the truss rod channel. And you can see that when we have that in place, it'll keep the truss rod from turning. And then once you've got this done, we're going to set up a jig here. Notice that the neck tapers, and I've got a stop block here clamped beside it, so that when I take this drill bit on my Dremel tool, I can make a straight line and just straighten up those edges. You can also do this with just a mallet and a chisel as well. I've done that on some previous videos. This time I'm just going to do it with the Dremel tool. You can see how I've just smoothed out that edge, and we kept it straight, measuring off that block. And then just flip it around and do the other side as well, and get your channel nice and smooth. And then we're going to do the end block. Take the nut that you have, and then draw you a line through the center mark vertically, and then you can locate where you're going to have the truss rod come out by marking the center line of where that nut is. You can see there where I've marked it. Then we're going to drill through here, and you'll notice there's going to be a little space there where the wood's going to be solid. You don't want that to be the thickness of the nut. That's just going to be drilled with the thickness of the rod. But to start, I'm going to take a drill bit that's the thickness of the nut, and I'm going to put a stop on there so it doesn't go all the way to that channel. Then I clamped it in, and I just drilled that hole so that'll fit. I'm going to test the fit of the nut in there. And now to get all the way through to the channel, we're going to change to a drill bit that's the same thickness as the truss rod. This way we'll have, when we drill this through and just break through to the channel, we'll have a stop of wood there so that the nut, the adjusting nut, has something to bear down against. Let's see here how that we made a smaller diameter hole there. Then our truss rod can go all the way through that. Now I'm going to take a tap and die here. I'm actually just going to use a wrench and clamp this in place, and you're going to want like some just some basic machine oil just to act as a lubricant while you cut the threads on the truss rod. I'm going to clamp it in place. Just put a small amount of oil on there. And I'm going to put the die on. Make sure you've got the side where it says to start the threads. And just slowly get it started. And once you've gotten it, a thread or so on there, that's where I'm just going to take the wrench and just start slowly turning this in place. Put a little pressure on it just to keep it square. And as you start to move around, it'll start to catch better. Once you've got several threads on there, you'll find that you can just slowly turn it on. If it starts to get a little hot from the friction, just apply a little more oil to it to cool it off. And then you want to continue doing this till you've got about 3/8 inches of threads on the end of this. And then I'm going to hold the truss rod in place. As I near the end, it gets a little harder to actually turn the threads. That rod kind of wants to spin in the vise some. And then when you get the depth that you want, you should be able to unscrew the die. And here you can see the threads that we've cut. That's a good idea just to test fit the adjustment nut there. Make sure it'll slide on there. And then we want to go ahead and just put this on temporarily. And you want to leave some threads just to give yourself some room to adjust it later on. Don't go all the way down with it, but then just slide it in place so that it's flush with the end of the neck. And then on your other end, I'm going to mark where we need to bend it. Just put a little pencil mark there. And you can see this will be where the bend will go so that we can put it in that little hole that we drilled and put the stop end in there. So there's my pencil mark, and I'm putting that right there on the end of the vise. And the truss rod isn't all that hard to bend. You may have to take a tool or maybe a small piece of pipe to help you bend that. But this one's actually bending fairly easy. And as I get it started, I'll move it out a little bit so that the curve actually goes through that point where my pencil mark is. And just do this slowly. You don't want to do it and break the rod. But you want to get it about as close to 90 degrees as you can and as tight a curve as you can get it. And then I'm going to just take a hacksaw and cut off the end here. I just want enough there to bend in and put into that little hole so that it'll stop it from turning. You can see there the bend that I'm after. That'll slide right in there and fit in our hole. Just do a little test fit on that. And you'll see where it ends up there at the end of the neck. Now I'm just going to go ahead and install it. Slide it into the threaded end. Put your stop in place. And then go ahead and attach that adjusting nut. and your truss rod will be installed in the neck. Now I'm just kind of screwing this in here just to keep it out of the way. I'm not really putting any pressure on the neck at this point. Make sure everything's good. Make sure also that you've got your channel deep enough that the truss rod goes all the way in below the surface of the wood. Because in this step we're going to cut a piece of maple that is the same width as our channel. And you'll note that I've kind of drawn the depths out that we drilled, and I've cut a curve in the bottom of it. And you can just take a plane and plane that excess wood off there. You can see how now we've got a curved bottom. Then I'm just going to take some wood glue and just glue the sides of this and put it right in place. We'll just clamp it down there, and this will give that truss rod, it'll make the channel curved so the truss rod will stay curved and put that pressure that we need to fight against the string pressure. See there how it fits in place. And up at the top, I'm very close to the top of the channel, so I'm actually going to leave that little piece there exposed. And now that it's glued in and dried, I'm just going to take a flush cut saw and cut off the excess wood there. And then I'm going to take some 80 grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to take a good square wood block and just smooth out the top of the neck. Make sure everything's nice and consistent and square.